Hi, my name is Julia. You're listening to the podcast of the Master School of Happiness. This is an episode with my dear friend Nimesh, and I hope you enjoy it. Hi, Nimesh. Thank you for joining me. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Julia. So nice to be here on your podcast. I feel really lucky and privileged to share my thoughts through you to your audience. Yes, so my name is Nimesh. I would say a new earth doula. I I believe my path is to help the new earth that is dawning, help that process, help make that happen.
Thank
And um, and right now I'm here in Switzerland, trying to put all that I've done to bring that as my life's purpose. I will speak some of this about through the questions that you ask and the discussions we have, but at a very high level, I am I would that's what I would say. I'm a new age doula that's trying to help the new earth being born.
Okay, very nice. We will get into that. Something that I would like to start with is that currently you're living in Switzerland, which I find super interesting. Because before you were like I don't know how long it was, some couple of weeks, right, in India? And before that, you actually lived in Costa Rica, right?
Right, right.
So,
Yeah. Maybe I can describe a little bit for for you and for the audience to understand like the path that brought me here. Yeah, I grew up in India, very, very classic sort of a background of trying to study hard, learn, get myself a good degree, engineering. I moved to the US because money was really important to me and my family at that time. And I worked really hard to get into the best colleges, get the best jobs, worked in Wall Street in New York in one of the highest paid jobs. And, 80, 90 hours a week. I was working for a very long time. And all those things that you see in films about the firm and, you know, how corporate America is kind of, I was living that dream in such a way, like living in New York City. I did that for 6, 7, 8 years, and then I was getting burnt out, and I felt it was too fast a pace, and I moved to work at Google in California, in the Silicon Valley, and I was there for another 12 years. And it was a different pace, a different thing, but now I know that it was also quite similar, the same corporate, the same money machine, the same capitalist sort of ideas that run this most of this kind of a business world. And I was doing that again. I was not working that much in terms of number of hours, but I think everything that I was putting in was going towards furthering this capitalist ideology, this ecosystem, this money based sort of a story of success, essentially, where happiness is quoted with how much money you make and what actually happens. Um, and so down that road, I was feeling extremely hollow and not actually real. I'm realizing that I'm not getting the happiness from the money that I was earning and all that. And in that path also, as I was constantly searching, questioning myself, and going through my own healing, I ended up joining some plant medicine ceremonies, and it really helped me kind of ground myself, connect me to truly the divine, the nature that lives in all of us, and understand what really makes me who I am, as makes me human, makes me alive, makes me divine, actually. And so that sort of really started to open me up as a human and heal my relationships with myself, with my close family and friends, and with my work. I realized that the work I was doing was not really something that I was fulfilling me, and I understood why. um, and and as I realized that, I quit my job and moved to Costa Rica. I quit Google and I moved to Costa Rica, and I started living there and started working on something that I feel is my more aligned to my work, my life, my purpose, and that is around being in service to nature, being in service to the planet, around climate, around harmony with nature. Just like all species live in harmony with nature, humans are the only ones that don't. And I feel like we need to heal ourselves to be able to get there and to reconnect. And so that's at a very, very high level. That's what I'm like doing. And you know what? In like I spent about 3 years or so, I would say, in Costa Rica, really, and maybe 2 more years going in and out, but not living in Costa Rica. And I realized in that phase that I was really building myself up and making my work felt and solidifying that. And it was coming clear to me becoming clear to me that at some point in time I will need to leave the jungle and leave the hermit's cave and come back into this broader civilization, this broader problem of money that I talked about. And I can't really run away from it, but I want to come back and heal and come back and bring my work here. And I did not know that it will come to Switzerland or come in this form. But last year met someone in my girlfriend now, but I met her in Costa Rica, and it really was a beautiful flow of life for us. And I started spending more and more time in Switzerland with her. And it became clear to me that this was the breadcrumb that I was going to follow to come back here. So here I am now, like bringing, come like coming here in Switzerland for love, but then also for love of my work and for purpose. And I'm trying to put all that together and seeking ways in which this would come to life. Yeah, we'll speak more about that, but a journey from India to the US, and living in Chicago and New York and California, San Francisco, Silicon Valley, down to Costa Rica, and then now here. It's come a full circle back, but I'm not the same person that left India and was the slave of the capitalist system. I feel like I'm a reformer. I'm trying to bring these ideas back now. And many of us in are seeking healthy ways of living. They can't find happiness through just money. And I feel I've seen the light. I've some messages. I have some ideas, and I would love to build a community around this that can actually work in healthy ways of living in harmony with nature. Again, we'll speak more of this, but I was wanted to share my journey a little at a high level.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, there was already so much actually really interesting and wise information inside. Like it sounds like the way you describe it, it sounds like actually super easy, you know, like, oh, you go to America to live in America, and then you go to Costa Rica, and then you go to Switzerland just because you feel like it. It seems like it, but I know on the of course it's not. But like I think that most of the people will find it quite difficult or find it quite challenging to adapt to new cultures like that. Um, do you think like you have specific skills that makes it quite easier for you to adapt, or did you learn to adapt quickly to new environments? How do you cope with that?
It's all about love.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, it's a universal language that exists everywhere you go, anywhere you go, you meet the people, and it's extremely simple to connect with people when you speak the language of love, because everybody speaks it, everybody understands it, and it's really is. That's my skill, secret sauce. Everybody has it actually. It's no, no secret. But no, I'm more seriously. It is actually. I follow my heart. I follow my heart where it's going. So I trust the divine. I trust the signals from the universe. I don't feel afraid about making big moves because I know I'm like trusting something which is much higher than me. And then when I go with an open heart, and I actually lay myself open and meet people and sort of, share what I have, the gifts that I bring. And also people have always opened their hearts to me. And I feel like this has become a lot easier for me now, uh, like after leaving the US, like going to Costa Rica, going to coming here in Switzerland. I also spent a bit of time, about a year in between, like in and out, in Spain, in Galicia, and sort of, exploring some communities there. Again, met beautiful people who are doing really good work, and I always found them welcoming. And let me give you an example that will sort of drive home this point. So my when I say love, it's actually it's like, it's every answer can be answered like that, but like every question can be answered like that. But like what I really mean is being authentic and being vulnerable, and that really helps people to get their guard down, to understand who I really am, and also open their doors for me. So, for example, when I went to Costa Rica, I was nobody. Like I did not know anybody over there and anything, and I was just like beginning to like embrace the land and sort of meet people. And I made a friend there in who was a cacao farmer. This young woman, her name is Andreas, and she was like a single woman, like in and trying to get her family farm of cacao and get it going. And it was really a strong struggle for her because the farming community is predominantly male, and people don't really take a somewhat younger woman that seriously, and those kinds of things were her reality. And again, I met her through chance, and through like a cacao tour or something. And very quickly it felt like, okay, there is this connection between us, and something's real. And I was very open in my own heart, and actually being vulnerable and talking about my reasons for being there, how I had reached Costa Rica. I had reached Costa Rica actually after a near death experience of a car accident, and that nearly killed me. And then I kind of, I survived, and again, a separate story, but like, but something that was really, really true, authentic, and I was not trying to hide those things. So I was being vulnerable with her about what I was doing, or why I was there, and how I got there. And there's this being authentic, being vulnerable has this beautiful light. It has this quality where when you open your heart up, literally, I feel like you shine a light from you with who you are. And in that light you will see another person who will also see that light and have no place to hide, or no need to hide. So it's a very fast way of actually building trust and building a true relationship with someone, where they see you and they see you truly, and they believe that, and they also are encouraged to open their heart up. And so it really helps make friends, helps make connections, help make deep, love-based relationships. And Andreas, to this day, is a beautiful friend. I've helped her farm for my climate work, the Gaia project, and recently she had a baby. She got married. She had a baby. We sent some Indian clothes to her. She's in love with India too. So it grows, and these relationships are for life. And I always feel like I can never go every time I need, anytime I need, I want to go back to Costa Rica. I have a friend and a family there. And so this is just one example, but I have done this in Costa Rica, in Spain, now in Switzerland, in parts of India, in the US as well. Yes, it is a skill, but it's not that hard.
Well, for you, it's not that hard. But I'm sure that there are quite some people would think like, wow, that's, I think that's like a superpower, like to have an open heart And to be vulnerable, I think that's a superpower. I think also that's something that you can actually learn all your life, because I think you can more and more and more and more open up your heart, and like trust and trust and trust and trust more and more and more, because like, especially as more you go to other countries, because I'm sure that the differences in the between the countries, between the continents, are sometimes so can be so radical, that it's like, to have an open heart and to trust, to build connections, in the unknown. It's a superpower. Come on, you have to agree, right?
So yes, I do think it's a superpower for me, and what I'm trying to say is not I'm being humble about it, but also I'm saying it can be done, and then I hope others don't find it as hard as well. It can be learned, and the more it comes from a place of trust, actually, eventually, that trust that it'll be okay, trust that everything is happening for the right purpose for your life, and the divine is always helping you. And the more you trust, the more you can open your heart, the more you can be vulnerable and not be scared that something will hurt you and somebody will hurt you. So yes, it is a superpower, but the main message I want to carry is that it can be learned. It's not like a secret thing that I was born with. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And another interesting thing is like your relationship with the divine. Like, I think that if you have this connection, then, like, of course, it's easy as well to trust the unknown and to trust no matter what shows up in life, because I think that you see it as a learning process as well, right? No matter what comes, as well,
Yeah.
like your car accident. Would
Yeah.
you maybe connected dots here, or how would you see it?
Yes, maybe this is a good point to talk a little bit about that. There are some deeply personal and intimate stories there, which, again, I don't know. I'm open and vulnerable, not knowing where these messages and words will go, but I can talk about it. But let me put that in context to the question that you're asking. Um, s- um, like in September of 2021. I was already in Costa Rica doing things, meeting people, like and things like trying to kind of set up my life there and see what happens and all that. And it was a tough time, actually. It was like, in the sense that it was the first time I was stepping out of the comfort of, say, the US and a job and like money and all those things. And I was comfortable in terms of like the things that I had, but I was not really kind of fully ready, I think, to step into this vulnerability and open trust based life that I'm talking about. And again, my work with plant medicines and I guess my training in spirituality had done some level of readiness for me. But this was real life, like, real life. How do you go? Not like just sitting in a ceremony and doing things, but how do you actually do these things in real life? And in this example, I was in this situation. What happened was that I was like I was in a relationship at that time, and that was not really sort of, it was going south. Something really terrible happened in that connection that was very traumatic to me, and I felt myself really lonely and outside my comfort zone in Costa Rica, and like, not knowing what to do and trusting. Like, really, it was really hard for me to trust that, okay, I'm supposed to be here. I need to, like, not lose that faith that something got me here, like the divine got me here, and I had bought a ticket for 1 month to be there to try this experiment. I could have run away, but I was like, no, I must see this through. And this is another thing with like with some spiritual practices that I've taught me, that you make a commitment, or you make you like there's a I mean, when you trust the divine, like for something, like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try it for X time or X ways and all that. And you kind of go through hard times, but you know that every such experience, every such ceremony has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. And you can, of course, like escape in the middle if you're really feeling really uncomfortable. But there's a reason why that discomfort is there, because teaching you to go through the rite of passage, to go through the tough time, because there is light on the other side. And that's what the divine connection is about. It's about trusting that, okay, it is hard, but it is going to be okay. It's going to be all right. And in this case, like I said, I had a really heartbreak and a bad situation with this relationship, and I could have run away, but I didn't. And I was actually driving my car in the mountains in Costa Rica, and like, a little bit lost in myself, but like trying to find peace in the forest, and trying to go to the mountains. Um, and I was overtaking a truck on a highway, and another like truck. It was a misty evening, afternoon. Suddenly it got dark, and another truck kind of showed up as I was overtaking. I was really there was no space to move. There was nothing there I could have done. I was in a car, in an SUV, and my SUV got like crushed between these two massive trucks. I had no place to move. I had actually given up. I thought this was over, and I left it. I left it actually, and then a lot of loud noises came, and then I woke up a few moments later, my like to realize that nothing had happened to me. Like the whole car was destroyed from two sides, and nothing. Like I had just a small burn here on my wrist from the airbag, but nothing had happened to me. And of course, like this kind of a thing has a I still feel it in my bones. It still comes back to me. It's like I've talked about it, I've written about it, I've processed it, I've done so much work afterwards, but I still feel it, and it changes you for life. An experience like this. But I felt that day that I was born. I was born again. I was born in that land. I was born I was like protected by the divine, and
Yeah, the divine. That's what you
absolutely. I absolutely feel this way even now. I know, like,
feel.
I know nothing will happen wrong that is not meant to be. And if something is going to happen to me, it is meant to be, because I'm ready for that. And it's a beautiful feeling. It's such a amazing feeling to go through life knowing that you're held by the divine. You're not going to be, left alone. And yes, that was the time, that was the moment when it all started to come together, the trust that I'm talking about. And I really quickly realized after that that okay, my life is really precious. I've been given another lease of life, or a gift, and that I must walk the purpose, that I'm here, not just this old capitalist system where I was making the money and doing the things, but actually living more in service of the planet, in service of divine, in service of so I started making shifts towards that after that time very clearly. But for me, that message came at a very traumatic and a heavy price. And I don't know, I wouldn't even call it a heavy price. It was, I welcome that. I don't think I want to go through it again. I hope nobody else has to go through it to learn that experience, but that's how I got here. And once I built that sense of trust through that experience, I mean, of course, everything is so much more simpler. How much, what, like
Yeah,
I've,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. If you go through the hardest, of course, everything feels like a walk in the park afterwards.
yeah, yeah. So it puts life in perspective when I face more challenges and other things. Yeah, I feel really. Yeah, it's an amazing feeling to feel like you are walking the path that has been chosen to you, and that you'll always be protected for what you're meant to do, and that even if difficult situations come in, trust that it is actually meant to get you to the other side. And after that, I've had more other difficult situations, but this light, this remembrance of knowing that there's light at the other side has always helped me. And like beautiful things come happen to me, beautiful people are on my path, and like real manifestations in 3D reality show up. um, and call it magic, call it whatever, I don't know. I don't even want to think about it, because it's too complex for me to understand how the divine works. All that I do is, my job is to take the next step of where I'm seeing. I don't even need to see too far, just the next step, and that's how I walk. So I'm here now.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. And like, yeah, for me, it makes a lot of sense because I'm also like very connected to the divine. And it's for me, it's very clear, like your process, especially like, um, I think that we both have the same, how can I call it, the same acceptance towards our path of growth, or like what we're supposed to do on this planet, like I think you as well like see the same, that like life is there to grow and to learn,
Yeah.
and we don't run away from like any kind of experiences that are really discomforting. And on top of it, what I really appreciate with you is that you really look at yourself and your own feelings, your own discomforting feelings, before you step out and challenge other people with that, because I try to do exactly the same thing. It's like I think that we are all very responsible for our own feelings, um, and that it makes much more sense to look first at what is going on inside ourselves before challenging other people with these feelings.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Yes.
No, sorry, continue.
Yes, yes. I mean, thanks for bringing that up and seeing that quality or that way of being in me. For me, I want to say this right now that the moment I met you, I felt this clear connection between us that really sort of made it very simple and clear to me that your connection with divine, the way you flow and the way you are actually channeling that energy through you is, I've seen this before, or I also do it. And the way, I do it as well. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm a saint or I'm a whatever. Like things, yes, great things, seemingly important things come out, but I'm just channeling what the divine wants to send through me. And all I'm doing is trying to keep my vessel clean, and I'm trying to be still and trying to listen and get myself out of the way. Like what needs to come through comes through. And I noticed this in you also, like the your needs based the theory that you, I mean, it's quite fabulous, and it will not come from it doesn't come from here. It cannot. I don't think such a thing can actually happen, and from just the rational brain. And I felt that divine, that connection from you, flowing through you, and that was like immediately clear to me. And now that you say also like of what you saw in me about processing, about being in touch with our own emotions, and that I do, and I'm sort of before engaging with others, and it's not like if I'm feeling like hatred, for example, which is a very strong feeling, or if I'm feeling jealousy, if I'm feeling anger, these are all strong emotions, but they are there for a reason. Your body is actually reacting in a certain way. And you don't need to go and interact with the world at that time. You need to actually sit with it, that discomfort, and allow it to pass through you because it will do you good by teaching you something. And it is, again, it starts from the place of trust, but once you trust that, okay, this is right for me and let it happen, then you allow it to pass, because like in meditation, or like the Buddhist way, everything is impermanent, that too shall pass. But in the passing, the pain, the anger, the discomfort will teach me something, and that's my way. And I saw that in you too. I saw that in you. So I was like a really it was really interesting, really fortuitous for us to connect. And I feel, I mean, like we just like barely like few months that we've known each other, but I feel like there's a lot to learn from each other, and I'm really excited about that. Also excited about your project and what you're building, because I feel like there's much to learn here for me.
Thank you. And I feel the same. It's like I find it people that are very, very strongly connected to the divine. And maybe it's also interesting to say that, like, for me, like, I don't connect the divine to a specific religion. And I don't
Mhm.
know what your perspective on it. That would be interesting. But, like, for me, it's always like I see people that everyone has its own specific reality. And I'm
Right.
so fascinated by all these different realities. It's like as if, like, with every human you meet, you can discover God or the divine in a different way. It's, for me, it's always super surprising in how many different languages or perspectives the divine talks to you, you know. It's fascinating, no?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really, really cool point, and I would love to share a little bit about my thought process here about, the concepts of religion, God, or the connection with divine, and my thoughts here. I and why what you're saying, why we see everything so different in people. So, in my opinion, in the way I see it, I think ideally religion would be my private relationship with God. It is my private, like one-on-one kind of a connection with God. But that is not what is like the word term religion is an organized sort of a connection with God, because there are priests, there are systems, there's rituals, there's everything that goes on. So so if one wants to have a connection with God, one goes to the temple or to the church or whatever, and then sort of, the somebody who is in ordained, like, or priest or something, can actually say, okay, do these things to connect to God, to pray and all that. And, I grew up in India and I saw this, a lot of this in, well, growing up. And I was actually atheist pretty much. I would say I was running away. I felt it was actually very, very, I don't know. It was like it created a lot of like, um uncomfortable feelings in me to sit in a ritual and all that. And again, through my own journey, etc., where I came to is that not the religion, but I would call it spirituality, or spirituality is the personal connection to God, my personal connection to God, to divine. And only I understand what that is. I have conversations with me, myself, or with God, and there are times when I'm like feeling like, oh, what the F is happening? And I'm like, okay, all right, I got to connect with the God of me, or with me, my own voice, and see what happens. Maybe sometimes I do my own rituals, like things that I feel help me or ground me, or medicines or whatever. But there's nobody in between. Okay, there's just me and the divine, and that is my connection with God. That is my religion, if you want to call it, but the religion of one. And but I really term it as like this, the spiritual. That is what is spirituality to me, and this is precisely why what you it is different for everybody, right? Like I have my own unique set of experiences of how I've experienced God. First, like running away from it in India, then sort of going through the darkest of the dark times in this whole capitalist system, and then like having a near death experience through plant ceremonies and coming out and having this. That's just me. Nobody else will ever have that. And so the way I see God, the way I have that connection is just mine. And I can't even say this to somebody else because they will have their own. And like you, Julia, have your own path, and why you may have done something in your trip in Goa, in India, you might have seen somewhere else as you grew up, as a child. Again, I'm not going to, I cannot put words in your mouth, but that's very personal to you, which is why it is a very unique and one-on-one kind of a personal connection with God. And I think this makes a ton of sense because I am God, you are God, we are all actually part of that. So what the divine is trying to do through me, or wants to do through me, is to make me the perfect instrument of that expression of my purpose. If my purpose is to spread love, then I become more and more, I get me, Nimesh, out of the way. The more and more I become the divine, I actually am this flower that perfectly expresses love, or a mango that is so perfectly sweet that it cannot, like, it's just doing its life's purpose. So, like, that consciousness is actually divine consciousness is expressed through my being, and again religions talk about this, but there's no way to make a formula out of it. It can never be, because your purpose is very different, Julia, than mine, and you will have to walk your own path to discover that. I have to do my own, and that's why it's a lifelong journey and purpose that you and mentioned. But yeah, this is my way of looking at these things.
I love it. It's so cute because like it totally describes like my I totally connect with it, you know, like with my perspective how I see it, because it really makes a lot of sense, because like I feel like that we all have like a very specific reality, and I'm like on one hand I'm super confident with my reality, but at the same time I hug, or I want to hug every other reality out there. If it's
Hmm.
a specific religion, if it's a specific idea of how a system could be happy, whatever it is, like I want to hug every other reality, because I think that we're all, as you say, an expression of God. It's like we're all here just connected in oneness. And like I don't think it makes ever sense to say like, oh, you should believe in this, or this is the only way that it's right, and all this. It doesn't make sense, because why would there be so many different expressions of love, or of the divine, of freedom, or like of needs in my world? There are so many different ways, so many different constructions possible. So like, why would it doesn't make sense to me to put anything in the specific box on how life should be. So like, yeah, I totally see what you mean.
Yeah, this is where a little bit of the like the schism or the trouble, I should say, or a little bit of conflict that happens because um us as humans, our ego comes in the way and says, "Oh, my way is the better way than your way," and we start to compare,
Yeah,
and we try to box it, just like you said. We try to box love, that this is what love is, or this is what relationship with God looks like,
yeah,
and yours is not as good as mine. And the moment we do that, it's like we lose it. We lose it. It's like they say that when in Buddhism, when you're meditating, you say, "Oh, I am actually like I'm losing myself. I'm nobody." But the moment you say I am, it's there. Like, you are actually containing it. So it's a paradox, but like to be nirgun, to lose all those qualities and to be part of the one, you have to lose. Like, it's not about any. It's not about that. You cannot box it. Like love is, for example, too big for any of us to define. It's love defines us. It's not that we define love. You know what I mean? It's the other way around. And so we are the expression of our love, not that we can define what love is. And that's why this conflict happens in this world, because we try to show, and because it's our ego that's coming the way. But if you actually get past that ego and you're talking at the realm of love, then you don't lose your realm of ego and realm of self. Then you are one, and that person is also one. And even though it could be somebody who's done a lot of sins or whatever, but that is also part of the one. That is also part of me. That is, we are also connected still. And that's why it is important to celebrate every expression of love. Everybody who has their own connection, I say, awesome, you do that. And what I do and the way I live, I can only inspire that, okay, this is what I'm doing, and somebody may be able to see that and learn and say, okay, that is great, maybe I want to see. But I can never tell somebody that this is your way. You know what I mean? And that's why it's a really important thing to get your own ego out of it. If somebody sees your light and wants to follow, great, but you cannot say, and one can never say that this is the right way and you should also follow it. um, it's a really important reminder I keep telling myself about getting my ego out of the way in whatever path I'm doing.
thank you. That makes a lot of sense. And specifically, what you're saying, like with that love defines us. That's also how I see it. I stopped to define love, or like what I learned to know about love. This concept of love is specifically in relationships, and this is something that I would like to talk with you about, because like the relationship that you are in right now is polyamorous, right? So so how, like, how did you make, and before you were in monogamous settings, as far as I understand, so it was something new that you opened up to. So this is very interesting for me, because like we had our society gives you specific ways of how you should have relationships, right? So how was that for you to open up to a new setting that like love defined for you? How would you say that?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and um, yeah, I think this the way this journey, I'm still in it. First of all, it's not like I have lots of insights by being on the other side or having spent a lot of time, but I will say it from a perspective of like I'm in the middle of the journey and I'm still learning, and with that humility of what it is, but it'll still clarify how how I think about it. Some context. I was in monogamous relationships for the for all my life actually until last year when I met my partner, and then I met her in Costa Rica, and she mentioned she was polyamorous. And I was aware of polyamory. I had like been experimenting a little bit with Tantra as a path of spirituality, and I was aware of the openness that it espouses, it talks about. And it's funny that I discovered Tantra not in India, but in the West, and then now I'm coming back. But that's another story. But it really sort of was something that I had heard about, thought about, and I was already in this mindset of this place where I wanted to question everything. I'm not like, just because a person says or a religion says or somebody says does not mean it is right. I mean, again, it is the Buddhist way of saying knowledge cannot be done by reading. That's you get it, but then you have to experience it. You have to feel it yourself, and you have to understand it yourself. So for me, this was an important part of of the process, and I had known. So I started questioning the question of monogamous relationships, and creating security through structures of the marriage, of monogamy. But like, truly, if there's no love between the two people, then what structures? They are just like scaffoldings of fake scaffoldings, and they not really, cannot really hold. So I was aware of these things, but when I met my partner, I was like, okay, we'll see, whatever. And lo and behold, the breadcrumbs followed me to Switzerland. And after a few months, we decided to open our relationship and to practice this form of polyamory. And um, I had to actually really have a honest conversation with myself if I was ready for this, and I want to speak about this with that same clarity, with the same lens of trust that I spoke about earlier. Um, so, I mean, I had been thinking about this, and I knew it was something there, but like I could not see myself agreeing to this form of relationship because of this woman who came in my life, and I love her and I want to do it because she's polyamorous. And I realized that was not the right reason. That was not going to keep me happy. It is about me. It's like self-love. It's me. As I mean, today it could be her, tomorrow it could be somebody else. So like I needed to be really convinced that, oh, it's not just something that has come my way. And I started reading, researching, learning, talking, etc., etc. And I realized that what really resonated with me, and different people have different reasons of practicing polyamory. Some believe that this is how they're wired, this is how they feel they are born. Maybe as a sexual orientation of being homosexual or something, that you kind of, you're just wired that way. So some people believe that they are wired that way, that they're polyamorous, that they don't need to contain love. And I had not felt that. It was not true to me. And I had to really be honest that, in my life, I was pretty happy with monogamous relationships, to be honest. And it was not a problem. I'd had some issues with my partners being dishonest or cheating, and that had hurt me. But like, by and large, it was okay. I was happy. So that was not my reason. And I kept looking, and I was not convinced. And then I found that some people practice polyamory as a growth path. Um, they said that, polyamory or any relationship actually is a portal for growth, because you kind of have to learn so much about this new person. You have to learn about what is going on. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be true, blah, blah, like many things. And every relationship because you're interacting with another divine being, basically. So you have to grow to actually meet that person in the middle. So I love the idea of relationships for that reason, and not just romantic, like any interaction. Like you meet people, it energizes me because it actually helps me grow. So with polyamory, I saw that it was a way to jumpstart that growth process. And for me specifically, it would I had heard that it would help shine a light on abandonment fears or attachment wounds from my childhood, insecurities, jealousy. And again, I had felt them in my monogamous relationships during cheating or other things that have happened, but I'd never really healed them. And because I'm such a, what should I say, growth ninja, or I really want to focus on growth and growth, it was really important for me that, okay, I want to heal this thing. I want to heal this for good. And I want to actually be a more able human being. And it really attracted me truly in its own way that, yes, this is, if this is the way and it's a bitter pill to take, I would take it. It makes sense. I mean, there will be a beginning, there will be a middle, there will be discomfort, and there will be an end, or whatever you want to call it. But I will actually heal myself. I'll go through this journey to actually be a better human being and to heal the things that I'm not able to shine the light on in a monogamous relationship. And that truthfully resonated with me. And then the third thing that really sort of, helped me to make that decision was that in this partner, I saw really, truly a very loving, caring sort of a setup. And she has been really supportive of me and supportive of this journey. And I'm very supportive of her. So I feel like if there was ever a reason and ever a time to try, it was this, because, how much better can it get? And, with all this, when I put my hat on of the trust, and I feel like, okay, yes, it makes a ton of sense. Yes, the divine wants me to be here, wants me to, like, explore this, and I feel ready, even though it's discomforting at times. I'm like, I'm in it and I'm doing it. So that's sort of a little bit of the context and what's going on. And I can speak a little bit more about what's happening right now with me in polyamory as I'm learning, as I'm going, the challenges that I'm facing. But I don't want to overstep your question. You asked me a little bit about why I'm here and how I'm questioning. And again, the last thing I would say is that, notice it has got nothing to do with other people and other sort of, hey, he's doing it or that's been talked about. It had to make sense to me. It was my personal relationship with God, with divine guiding me and making me comfortable with this decision. And I would not have done it if I was not at that happy place within myself, with that trust. And that's what helped me make this decision.
That's so beautiful because, like, I think that's also a complete expression of freedom. If you decide to do something for your own growth and not because you feel dependent on someone else's choices, because your girlfriend kind of told you, like, this is what I want to do, this is how I am, so either you follow or you leave, that's very often a setup that is happening. And like, you didn't go this way, you decided for yourself what makes sense for you, and you was very, very honest with yourself. You were looking for the right answer for you, if this setup wasn't just like a coincidence happening in your life, or if it was really your purpose, and if it was really your way to go. And this is so amazingly beautiful. It's like, because yeah, it makes so much sense, because like very often I think that we feel dependent on, because we love so much, or like we believe we love so much another person, and very often we like do whatever, like we feel like we have to do, we must do, but when you're really in a deep loving relationship with yourself,
Yeah.
then you double question everything that's going on in your life and choose the path that is really made for you. It's
Yeah.
really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you. No, go ahead. What was you're saying something else?
Yeah, I mean, like, it totally makes sense, because like, for me, it was also never a question like, am I a monogamous or am I a polyamorous? It's not like that you choose that. I think that what you really choose is a path of growth. You know,
Yes.
that's I think that's the biggest decision that you take in your life. And when
Yeah.
you choose the path of growth, and you said so beautifully, growth ninja, then you're facing pain, you're facing everything that comes in your way, because you know it's good for you to understand your learning process,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to heal and to find happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. I will that Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I'll tell you two things that come out of this. One is like a little challenging, and one is more light. That might kind of put a little more color around this polyamory experiment or learning growth experiment that I'm doing. On the challenging side, I am facing fears. I'm facing those hard moments when my partner is going on dates or we are actually having to have those conversations, and seeing my insecurities, seeing my old wounds of attachment come up. And it's really is very beautiful because I made this pact with myself, and it was only for me. It was not because of her. It was for me. I don't need her even actually. I kind of I can hold myself, okay? In these tough moments, I can hold myself and say, remember, we were doing this for ourselves. You can leave anytime you want, but you got this, you got this. And it's such a beautiful self-love practice that helps me through these tough moments. And every time I've actually allowed that to myself, um, I feel better. I feel more resourced. I feel like I'm enough. I feel like, I know the reason why I'm here, and it has helped me keep my North Star open and not lose the way when the seas are rough and the storm is brewing and it's a dark night of the soul happening. So that's sort of a one experience I wanted to share where it's dark, but it's actually helps me because I made that pact with myself. Or on the other side, I wanted to share that all this that I'm doing actually really helps me ground into my masculinity, into myself, and it's beautiful because it's multiplicative. The way I show up in this situation really helps me with my partner and helps deepen our relationship even further because she sees that I'm not really I got me, I got myself. I'm yes, I'm having challenges. I'm not being afraid to talk about my own vulnerabilities and challenges, but like I got it on my own, in my own. Okay. And and the humanness in me, the fact that there is some jealousy, the fact that there is some of these is a like a it's a beautiful sort of opportunity, a moment to show my own like warrior self, my Shambhala warrior self of who I am and how I'm showing up, and it gives her strength. So it actually multiplies because then what she does gives me strength, and it's like really helps each other. And that's why so this is the lightness side. It actually helps you grow really, and not just helps you grow, but helps the other person grow and helps each of us deepen our relationship, grow more even. But remember, all this came from being very, very grounded into why I was doing and having that trust and having that. And if that kernel was not there, I would lose it. I would lose it. And then she would see that I'm losing it. And then she would lose it. And everything would fall apart like a house of cards. But it's really really important to have that basic kernel solid and foundational, and it comes from the divine again. So there's nothing that can go wrong. Yes, we are going through very difficult times and tough things, but heck, I've been like in a car accident and survived or whatever. I know, I have trust that why the divine has put me here is going to be okay. And every time I meet someone and I'm sharing and I'm like shining this light, the other person also blooms and shows something else. So it's like it's the world will become brighter if each of us kind of continue to shine this light this way. So I feel really good about it, and I'm still journeying and I'm struggling and I'm all that, but I'm 100% sure I'm on the right path. There's no doubt, because I was led here in the right way, and I'm following the path of trust right now.
Thank you so much for sharing. Sounds very beautiful. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and like again, like I mean, I'm sharing this perspective, of course, with you because that's as well how we met through
Right.
this setting. Of course, I don't think like it's the path for everyone because I think it depends on your needs as well, or like on like let's say your how intense your relationship with growth is, how your relationship with love is, how your relationship with intimacy is. how your relationship with sexuality is. So I think that there are a lot of points why this specific path makes sense for you or makes sense for me. I just what I find very beautiful how this path is connected to personal growth and actually to a commitment towards your own relationship with yourself. You know,
Hmm.
this is
Hmm.
the most important part that I find so enlightening actually about this whole thing. So yeah, it's like thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing.
Thank you for seeing that. Yeah, thank you for seeing that. Yeah, and it's very personal, right? It's personal for you, for your reasons. It's personal for me. And this is why I cannot tell anybody, okay, you should be polyamorous or you should do this until they themselves find their own path and their own reason. Yes, they can be inspired by me or inspired by you or inspired by seeing something else. But what I'm encouraging you or your listeners or others, whoever hears this, is to really be truthful to yourself and find your own reason, find your own, connection, just like we do it with divine, because it is, right? And if you don't, you can't fake it, basically. You can't fake it. Yeah.
And like also like this connection with the divine, it's also something that you can learn. It's a
Mm.
practice. Because
Yes.
like for me, like for example, personally, I had no relationship with the divine 5 years ago. It's
Yeah.
like I started this journey by actually understanding needs and developing my relationship with needs, my relationship with spirituality, and it's super amazing and makes so much sense to live your life based on like your growth process towards happiness, and as well to learn to be resilient towards pain or suffering, towards like the difficult things that are happening in life.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
So would
Mm.
you say that you feel way more happy than you felt like 5 or 10 years ago?
Oh yeah, there is no comparison. It's I look at even my own pictures from like 10 years ago. I don't recognize myself. It's a even the physical features are different. Of course, happier, but I am not that person anymore. I'm really happy and I'm like, I feel more alive, even quote unquote more younger, even though how you count years is different. And it's funny, I was looking at a picture of mine from when I was really young, like 7, 8 years old, and there was a light in my eyes. And it struck me that I have the same light right now. And I'm so happy that I'm like back to that, because in between the years the world had conditioned me and I'll do a lot of work to decondition myself. But yes, I'm thankful for this path and this help from the divine that I'm actually back to my old self.
I remember to see a photo when you were younger. It was actually not so such a long time ago that you this photo, but like I was also like impressed how much you changed. And like for me, it's like so normal to see you like that, you know, like to see this beautiful shining, this happiness, this like ease, this like fun, you know, this like there are so many happy, like yeah, so much happiness that gets triggered, you know. Like when I saw that photo, I saw like, oh wow, there was a process going on. There was some transformation going on in your life, and this is what I find so impressive, how much people can change, you know, like in this path of transformation. And I'm like it's a blessing. It's
Yes.
like I mean, how can we not feel blessed by life, no, by like all this experience, if you see
Yeah.
on yourself your transformation just by checking out photos, you know. It's
So
amazing.
true.
And yes, thank you so much for sharing it.
Oh,
Really.
thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to, through your platform, your audience, to help me shine my light. And yes, I do have light to share, and it feels really wonderful um, to be invited to this, and know that it is not me; it's coming through me. So we all have it, and I really appreciate being here for this conversation. Thank you so much, Julia.